Hello, welcome to Watan الكرامة news channel. It is 9 p.m. our time for top stories, and we start with latest updates and news items from the Libyan state. Parliament Speaker Council Aguila Saleh Gueder congratulated the Libyan people and the Muslim nation on the occasion of the new Hijri year and wished it to be a year of good peace and stability. In the meantime, interim government congratulated the Libyan people and announced that today is an official holiday according to Article number 5, year 2012, because of the occasion of the Muslim New Year. Moreover, the government called on institutions that require the presence of its staff during the day to take the necessary measures. Parliament Vice Chairman of the Dialogue Committee, Abu Bakr Baira, introduced his resignation from the membership of committee to the office of Parliament Presidency. Sources confirmed that Baira resigned without giving the reasons behind taking this decision, noting that the Presidency office received the resignation letter will decide to accept it or reject it during the next week's session. Chairman of Parliament's Defense and National Security Committee, Fathallah Saidi, said that he does not accept to circumvent the Arab Libyan Armed Forces. Saidi demanded in exclusive statements to Watan Karama channel clear and written guarantees for the Libyan or the Arab Libyan Armed Forces in any political agreement. Parliament member Khalifa Ad-Daghari stressed that Parliament member reject any proposals that contradict the political agreement signed in with initial Insikhirat. Ad-Daghari said that yesterday's session witnessed the trend of majority of Parliament members to reject any proposals that conflict with the political agreement, and thus they will reject a proposal of UN envoy Bernardino Leon that demands the existence of 3 deputies in the presidency of the government, as well as a list of 17 ministers. They will also reject resignations of presidents of the Security National Council and the chairman of the State of Council. Municipal Council Omar El-Barasi sent a letter to the UN envoy to Libya, Bernardino Leon, in which he expressed the Council rejections of the amendment that means the political agreement draft different from that has been signed with initial Insikhirat. El-Barasi said that this letter came in response from Benghazi Municipal on the message received by the UN envoy, who is attached to the final agreement draft and its annexes. El-Barasi added that the rejection came because it advocates a party as the expense of another and delivers the Libyan state to a certain party. And still in Libya, dozens of people of Tobruk and some activists made a demonstration in Martyr Square in Tobruk, demanding Parliament not to approve the proposed unity government by Leon. One of the activists in Martyr Square in Tobruk, Muhammad Sha'ari, called in the Parliament to reject the guardianship and brotherhood government and immediately change the Dialogue Committee for failing to bring consensus government that satisfied everyone and free of brotherhood and terrorist militia. Drives, journalists, intellectual and civil society activists in Tobruk announced a demonstration on Thursday and Friday to refuse Leon government and support the armed forces in fighting terrorism. Tunisia's foreign ministry announced that the release of the kidnapped Tunisians in Misrata city by terrorist Libya Dome militias. The ministry says that 11 people out of 55 the kidnapped arrived at Ras Igdir crossing border. They were being held in Sabrat according to the ministry. One of the released returnees said that the rest of Tunisians that were freed prefer to stay in Sabrat to continue their work. My audience, we transfer now to the Arab items, and now from Yemen. The leader of Yemen's Houthis urged all followers to head to war fronts to repel what he called invaders, a reference to an Arab coalition that is intended to overturn the rule of his Iranian allied group over a large part of the country. Meanwhile, a U.S. Navy report says the aid to Yemen is being slowed by a Saudi coalition, which has warned commercial vessels to stay away from areas hit by fighting. The Arab coalition fighting to end control of much of the Yemen by the Iran-allied Houthi movement denied this claim. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said today that the U.S. has refused to send a delegation to Moscow or to receive a Russian delegation in Washington to more closely coordinate airstrikes by both countries and their allies in Syria. Lavrov made the comments while addressing the lower house of the Russian parliament, saying that the terrorism had been identified by any as the international community's most serious threat. Lavrov said that many participants of the UN General Assembly made the point that the most serious threat to the whole international community is presented by international terrorism and extremism. Their outburst happened in the Middle East and North Africa because of the weakening of state institutions in various countries of the region, among other things because of the external interference. Moscow's intervention means Russian and U.S. jets are flying combat missions over the same country for the first time since World War II, raising fears of a possible accidental confrontation. India condemns all forms of terrorism, said the Indian President Pranab on the second day of his three-day visit to Israel today. Pranab, who reached Jerusalem yesterday after visiting Jordan and Palestine, was accorded a ceremonial reception of Presidential Palace, where he met his Israeli counterpart Rivlin. Speaking at the occasion, Pranab called for a peaceful solution of all disputes. Pranab said, "We are distressed at the recent violence. India condemns all forms of terrorism. We have always advocated the peaceful resolutions of all disputes. I will seek the assessment of the Israeli leadership about the recent developments in this region, which have caused concern all over the world and have direct implications for India." Pranab's visit, the first by an Indian president, comes at a time when tension between Palestine and Israel has heightened over the last few weeks, causing heavy casualties, especially in the West Bank. Over the past few days, a number of Palestinians have been shot down by Israeli security forces after a wave of knife attacks against soldiers. And now we address the migration crisis. The Turkish Coast Guard rescued 21 Syrian migrants on the coast of Turkey today after a boat carrying them to Greek island of Lesbos sank. The government of Izmir said in a written statement. Search and rescue efforts were underway for 3 migrants who were missing. The statement said a record of 400,000 migrants have arrived in Greece this year from nearby Turkey, many fleeing war-torn Syria, Afghanistan and Iraq and hoping to reach wealthier parts of northern Europe. Many others have died at sea while making the short but perilous crossing on flimsy rubber boats. The member states of Europe, meanwhile, have struggled to agree on a strategy to control the flow of people, migrants. My audience, that is a wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website at www.watanalkarama.tv. Thanks very much for being with us. My greeting, Rania Al-Bilidi.